what I realized is that there are so many options, but we just need to be able to know what they are before jumping in there.
All right, welcome to another episode here at Tomachek Financial Team. We're happy and excited to be with you always. And we've got Kevin Hoang with us today on our episode. Kevin will be a partner with us going forward at TFT. And I think he's in a very important sector, and a sector that is going to gain popularity to where Canada is heading in terms of falling interest rates and all that happening. So Kevin, welcome to our podcast, and how are you today? And you can tell us a little bit about who you are and how you're going to partner with TFT as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me, Josh. And I'm really happy to be here. Very honored. Just a little bit about myself.
Yeah, sure.
I'm a real estate investor and recently became a real estate developer as well. And I'm also a mortgage broker. So I wear a lot of different hats, but how I sort of got into this space was because of housing unaffordability, not affordability, but unaffordability in the GTA. And my wife and I, we were looking to buy a principal residence to move into at some point. But just the rising cost and unaffordability is just, it's a troubled situation for a lot of people. So we started investing a little bit further away in Northern Ontario, Southwestern Ontario, and now I'm going to be developing a property out in Alberta and also dabbling into scaling up a portfolio in the US as well. So it all kind of started because we couldn't get into the housing market here where we live. But we also have great friends in our network that started buying real estate a little bit further away. And every time I would meet this friend of mine, one specific friend who introduced us to real estate investing, he would be buying one more property let's just say every half year I meet him.
Right.
And at the beginning, it was very unappealing because it's so far away. It's nothing really that impressive. The price points were very low, like $200K, something like that. So every time I'd meet him subsequently, he would have another property, some out of province, and then it started kind of triggering an interest and curiosity. My wife and I at that point were like, what's kind of going on here? How is he doing this? So we met up in May of 2021, and him and his wife were very kind and generous with their time and provided us a lot of insight on their experience. So we realized that maybe your starter home can't be in the GTA where it's unaffordable, but maybe your starter home could be a little bit further away. And what ended up happening, and I noticed this, was that he was able to kind of sell off those properties and be able to put a down payment towards a property in the GTA later down the line.
So housing affordability is the key reason that propelled you into this job? Yeah,
absolutely. So because of unaffordability, that led my default setting to always look a little bit further away.
Yeah.
Which means that the price points are a little bit more affordable for most millennials and Gen Zs, right? And then the second thing is because knowing what I know and through that experience over the last few years, I wanted to give back to the community and basically provide that value and provide them and other people that are in the similar situation who are working, living in the GTA, maybe making great money, but the issue is that they don't have an option to park their capital or to get into their first property. So it feels pretty defeating in some way when you're at a certain age when you don't have your property yet or your first home yet. So giving them that option to maybe have a starter home a little bit further away, whether it's an investment property or even like a place for to move to, another new community to move to, giving that education, providing them that insight so they can make a better informed decision. It was my way to sort of give back to the community, in my opinion.
So all the headlines that say, millennials will never own a home in Canada, it's unlikely that home ownership will be something for the younger generation or the future generation. All hope is not lost. There's still strategies that can be implemented that makes it eventually a possibility.
Absolutely, and that's what I specialize in. I do it for myself and for the people in my network. So I decided to expand it to other people that I don't have in my network yet, or I've never met yet, right? So the reason why is because we're looking very narrow. We're looking almost like the analogy of the well, the frog in the well looking up and only seeing what they can see.
Right.
So what I realized through my experience, as well as the experience of, friends of mine, the friend of mine that introduced us to real estate, my wife and I, what I realized is that there are so many options, but we just need to be able to know what they are before jumping in there.
So after this episode, I can tell you that I feel inspired that home affordability is an option. You just have to know where to look.
Absolutely.
And probably going to Kevin is the way we need to look. And I'm going to be talking with Pierre. We're going to be buying our first property in Alberta in the new year. All right. And just one final, I know we're going to get you next week. You're going to sit down with Pierre and you're going to talk strategy of how this becomes a reality.
Yeah.
But your overall assessment of where the housing market is right now and where it's heading in Canada, what do you think about it?
So I don't want to be negative or positive or overly optimistic, but we got to take it for what it is, right?
Yeah.
Our population in Canada is extremely high.
Yeah.
Not
Ratio-wise.
Well, let's just say it this way: the last couple of years, a lot of immigration, right, which is very positive. As you can see, my parents are immigrants too.
Yeah.
They came from a different country for a better life, but the density in which people are coming in, they're all staying in clusters in very high density, busy cities, right?
Yeah.
And the reality is that drives up a lot of cost of housing, right, due to demand for housing. The issue there is also, the second issue I want to kind of touch upon is not enough new housing, affordable housing for rentals. So what's going to happen is that if the government, we're going to have an election coming up soon, and that's something that they always touch upon, right? Housing affordability, all these different things. If we don't build enough, fast enough, what's going to happen is that down the line, it's going to be indifferent than what's going on right now, where prices will keep going up and up. Do I think prices of homes will gradually increase over time? Yes, but in the format that we've experienced in the last decade, it's extremely unhealthy and also causes a lot of people to not be able to get in. And if they do get in, they're highly over leveraged, right? And their mortgage payments are too high. So it's a very stressful situation. But what do I see? I see that the government is already trying to drop a lot of development charges, right? Development fees to build. They're exploring a lot of that. And then the second thing is issuing higher, straight to builds for multifamily affordable homes. So like 4 units, 5 units. So what the government's doing is encouraging more density in the existing lots.
Okay.
So what do I see? If this persists, very positive stuff. We're going to have more stabilized pricing. If it doesn't, and there's a lot of bureaucracy and a lot of issues within the government, sometimes it doesn't go according to plan, nothing changes and prices just soar over the long term. So my hope is that we can get something sorted out, right? And then there encourages more builders to build, but we'll see. We'll wait to see what happens.
I'm tempted to ask this question as well. Does the tariff play a role?
Absolutely. I think in the short term it does, in a way, because I could already sense, in the market, that most people they're afraid, right? And the tariff causes a lot of great uncertainty, right? With unemployment rates as well as cost of goods, being imported.
But I see it in a sense that instead of us exporting our lumber to the U.S., we can use the lumber and build homes here, right? And we can use that to build them faster.
Yeah, I agree with.
Yeah.
But the thing is, it has
with the uncertainty in the
Well, there's two things about this. We need to incentivize builders to build.
Yeah.
If it's unprofitable for them to build, right? Even I know that there's a little bit of like negative feeling towards investors or builders, but developers and builders are the ones that create housing supply. So let's say, for example, right, there's an empty lot of land, right, or there's land that's owned by somebody, and they're not incentivized to build or sell it to a builder. Right, and if they are incentivized, because let's pretend like property taxes are going up, the person that lives on that piece of land is retired, they can't afford to pay because they inherited it from their family many decades ago. Yeah. Well, let's say they're retired, they can't pay that property tax as it increases. They'll sell it. They need to sell it, but the problem is, what builders or who is going to buy that land to build out. It needs to be incentive, profitable for them to do as well.
Correct.
So what's going to happen in that situation is that if the seller or that owns that land is desperate to sell, they'll sell it for whatever price. But then at the end of the day, though, is it profitable for the builder? If it's not, then no one's going to build,
Correct.
right? So
there's a lot to explore
absolutely
in the housing market, and we're thankful that we have you to do so.
Well, thanks for having me. I really appreciate the time.
And we're happy that you're here today and sharing with us. I know you're going to dive deeper into specific strategies next week, so thank you for coming on this week. We're out of time this week, unfortunately, but wealth of knowledge, and I appreciate that. And you sound very knowledgeable about the Canadian market in terms of the housing market. So I hope that future episodes, not only this week and next week, but we'll have you on for future episodes as well.
Glad to be here. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And we will end there today. We will be back, of course, with another brand new episode. I'm going on vacation. Bye-bye. Pierre will be here next week with Kevin. Have a great one. Take care. We'll see you on the next one.